On February 4th, 2021, 23-year-old Sandra Birchmore was discovered lifeless in her apartment, a scarf cruelly wrapped around her neck. The official verdict is suicide. Yet even as her case was closed, it ignited an investigation that would rattle the very foundations of Stoughton, Massachusetts, exposing a web of betrayal within their trusted police force. But what truly happened to Sandra? How did her death lead to such a shocking scandal? And most importantly, was it really suicide, or was something more sinister at play? Born on January 24, 1998, Sandra Birchmore was described by many as an open book of love, care, and innocence. On the surface, she was a delight to many and always ready to lend a helping hand. However, Sandra didn't have the best of cards dealt to her. See, she was abandoned by her dad before she was born. Because of this, she was raised by her mom, grandmother, and aunt, who loved her dearly. As a kid, Sandra was known for her resilience, determination, and unwavering admiration for police officers. She loved the police so much that she joined the Stoughton Police Explorer program at 13, hoping to one day work in law enforcement.
Was a quirky, kind child. She grew up in Stoughton, Massachusetts, and
although the program only lasted 10 weeks, Sandra would be a recurring attendee for 6 years. During this period, Sandra's life took a dark turn as her mother died in 2016, when she was just 18. Although the world seemed to have turned on Sandra, she kept her head up and found comfort in the police as she deepened her relations with them and found structure there. Sandra was a loving teacher at Sharon Public School who, against all odds, managed to keep her childhood innocence. Sadly, everything will change on February 4th, 2021. See, on the morning of the 4th, the state of Massachusetts was just recovering from a third-degree blizzard, and Stoughton was no different, as the roads were just opening, schools were reopening, and life was slowly grinding on. As the day went on, Sharon Public School called the station and requested they do a wellness check on one of their assistant teachers, Sandra Birchmore, who was running late. Upon reaching her house, officers discovered her car buried in snow and quickly concluded that she must not have left the house since the blizzard started. However, when they knocked on her door, there was no response. Worried, the officers called the house manager to open the door, and what they found shocked them. They found Sandra sitting on the floor with a scarf tied to her neck and to her closet. Her room was a mess, like she had been looking for something, and her phone lay right next to her. She was pronounced dead on the spot at around 11:46 a.m. Sandra's death, however, was quite weird, as she had chosen to kill herself by ligature strangulation, a type of strangulation that requires no suspension. Essentially, it meant she had to put in extra effort to kill herself. What made it even weirder was the fact that she must have been fully conscious and fighting her survival instinct as she did, because there was no evidence of drugs or alcohol. There wasn't a suicide note. As officers looked through her apartment, they faced another shock that complicated the issue. On the kitchen desk was a sonogram of a baby. Sophia was 10 weeks pregnant. Now the case absolutely made no sense because multiple people, friends and co-workers, all remembered Sandra as someone excited about her pregnancy and looking forward to becoming a mother.
About to have a baby, she would tell anybody that she was so excited to have this child, and that is part of the reason why people didn't believe.
So why would she kill herself? Faced with all these and more, officers decided to go through her phone. It was then that the case took a dramatic turn. Sandra Birchmore's phone revealed extensive communications with 34-year-old Stoughton police officer Matthew Farwell, indicating they were involved in a sexual relationship. But that wasn't the plot twist, because she had also been in communication with his twin brother, William Farwell, and he too seemed to be in relations with her. Now, in actuality, this wouldn't have needed any further investigation. But after looking at the records, The Stoughton Police Department realized the two officers had been in communication since her year in the Explorer program as a minor. It turned out Matthew was an officer in the Explorer program and had been communicating with Sandra since then. It also turned out that Sandra had named Matthew as the father of her child and was threatening to reveal it to his family. She apparently made this threat because she wanted him to pay child support and sign the unborn child's birth certificate. According to friends and co-workers, she was happy to raise the child alone and couldn't wait to have the child. Adding to the mystery, Sandra told her co-workers that the father of her child, her boyfriend, was a married man down at the Stoughton police station. She also allegedly told some of her friends that if anything were to happen to her, it was her boyfriend's fault. As the investigation went on, the police began going through the apartment CCTV, and once again, the case took another turn.
Proof of life in the lobby, entering an elevator to her apartment.
On the day Sandra was murdered, February 1st, 2021, she had been cleaning her house and even went down to pick up a stroller she had gotten for her unborn baby.
A short while later, Matthew Barwell is captured on the same security camera entering the lobby and using the same elevator to Sandra's Canton apartment. Matthew Barwell didn't deny he went to visit Sandra. He told investigators he went to her apartment to call off the relationship and engaged in what Matthew later called.
However, around 9:27, the CCTV showed a large man walking into the apartment and heading up the elevator.
A, quote, pretty nasty argument, according to McNarma. A few days later, February 4th, 2021, Sandra was found hanging in her apartment. Investigators took her clothing and biological material from her body for a sexual assault kit and preserved fetal tissue.
The man then stayed inside for 29 minutes before heading out again.
The following day, February 5th, an internal investigation began into Birchmore's death.
Throughout his walk, in and out, the masked man looked down and seemed to be trying to dodge the camera. The man was later identified as Matthew Falwell, the alleged father of her child. When asked, Matthew claimed his last communication with Sandra was in October 2020. He claimed the child wasn't his because in December, when Sandra told him about the pregnancy, he found out she would be due in September, so it couldn't be his. He claimed that when he went to her house, he went to call things off with her because he wanted to focus on his soon-to-be wife. According to him, the argument got heated, and he left the place. After this, he offered his phone and social media for an investigation. However, upon going through his phone, officers found out he had blocked her on all social media and deleted her number. As the investigation continued, they soon found out that Matthew used the Criminal Justice Information Service to search for over 3 years. Between 2017 and 2021, he apparently used the system responsible for maintaining a centralized repository of criminal justice information to monitor her and make sure their affair was not on it. Sandra's phone also outsold 2 more officers for inappropriate communications with her. The first one, Joshua Hill, was a former animal control officer in Stoughton before joining the Abington Police Department. The text from her phone showed that they had inappropriate communications and even suggested a sexual relationship between them. When asked, Joshua first denied this allegation, hinting that the investigations would be focused on Matthew. However, later, he had another interview where the interviewer gave an NDA. The second name on the phone was 53-year-old Robert Devine, and his case was far more alarming.
Thank you for contributing to a healthy Stoughton, and we applaud your efforts.
See, the Robert was the head of the Explorers program and an officer beloved by the community.
Confessing her feelings for him, confessing how beautiful she thought he was. She wrote in depth about her feelings, about how he makes her feel. It was...
Evidence pulled from the phone claimed that Robert also had inappropriate communications with Sandra from her Explorer days. In fact, many girls from the program claimed that he gave them a weird vibe and made comments like they should come and find him when they were 18. When interviewed, Robert claimed to not be involved and even claimed to not know about Matthew's affair with her, a statement he changed later on by saying he thought the girl was lying. The phone also hinted that the Robert might have passed Sandra around to other law enforcement officers, like a military reporter and a fireman. When asked, he denied this and said he only took her to the military recruiter because she wanted to join the army. According to him, she failed after a few weeks, and after the program, he sparsely spoke with her. This too would turn out to be a lie, as officers found communications between the two, spanning from November 27, 2020 to February 1st, 2021. The new information made people suspect Robert to be the actual father of her unborn child. Sadly, however, this can't be confirmed as Matthew refused a DNA test and a polygraph test.
I am here publicly to disclose the results of an internal affairs investigation ordered by me, which uncovered serious misconduct on the part of former Stoughton police officers. What I'm about to brief you on is something deeply troubling to me as a human being and as a police chief.
In the end, no arrests were made in Sandra's case, as Matthew, William, and Joshua were placed on paid administrative leave before resigning, while Robert was demoted and placed on leave before retiring. All in all, Sandra's case caused quite an uprising, as people feared for their kids, while others wondered why it was never treated as a murder, and others claimed the case was a hoax made to humiliate the police department.
Who they were dealing with, an innocent girl who was just looking for love and attention. And she didn't have an appropriate male figure in her life because her father wasn't in her life. So these guys became that, but they groomed her and they used that to their advantage.
In the face of her death, Sandra Birchmore's aunt filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the officers involved in exploiting Sandra, alleging that their actions contributed to her suicide. But that was not all, as the lawsuit also targeted the town of Stoughton and its police department, citing negligent hiring practices and claiming emotional distress caused by their failure to prevent Sandra's exploitation and subsequent death. Till today, no arrests have been made on the case, and the officers continue on with their lives as normal. But what do you think? Was Sandra's case really a suicide? Or is her case proof of much more deeply seated corruption in the Stout Police Department? Let us know your thoughts in the comment below. And if you liked the video, please give it a like and subscribe. Until next time, stay safe.